Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to another great edition of Race on Main. We have a terrific guest today, two guests that are going to talk about, but this is a little bit more. You talk about helping the community. This is about as helpful to the community as you can get.
TransitionTownMedia.org.
Yeah,
these guys are figuring out a way to solarize the town.
Yeah, which is terrific. So we're going to have them on shortly. Don't forget to visit us on raceonmain.com, and we'll see you out on Main Street. Good morning, Philadelphia, and welcome to another great show, Race on Main. We appreciate you joining. And for all of our past episodes, you can always check out raceonmain.com. We have a very, very great set of guests who are here today who are going to talk about creating a solar town, basically, not too far from here. So we're going to get to them shortly. Professor Eric Stein and Martin Pepper from the Transition Town Media Group are going to talk all about the solar project that they're working on in media. So we're very fortunate to have them here. But before we get started, I guess under contract, I have to introduce
Side help.
The side help, my brother and partner and co-host Stuart. How are you today? We got a great show today.
It is a great show, and it's without giving too much away. It's media is everybody's hometown.
I suppose so.
Some of the people in this very room.
That's right.
Well, not hometown, but that's where they live right now. So.
Right.
I know that my kids and are going to be interested in this because it's about their hometown.
Yeah, that's neat. That's neat. So I'm sure there's a lot of folks around the region that are going to be interested for the same reason. They get, this is all about where I live, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so.
And hopefully the word spreads, and it doesn't have to be just media. I think these guys are going to talk about it's not just media itself. There are surrounding towns, but maybe it'll spread beyond just the immediate region.
Right, it's not the worst idea in the world, that's for sure. And the interesting part to it is that, and I love having it now, is because we can't lose any momentum when it comes to things like solar. Right now, oil prices are very, very, very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So people tend to overlook the idea of the environment and things like that.
I read an article about they're looking at bigger cars. The price has been down for like a month, and they're building bigger cars. It's like, come on.
We don't want to lose sight of that.
This is important stuff.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, as another, it's not solar, but sort of in that vein, I was with a client of ours earlier, and when I pulled in, there was a car plugged in, an electric car plugged in. As you start to see some of that come available a little bit more.
There you go.
So,
well, Wawa's got natural gas pumps now.
Yeah.
It's in Jersey.
That's interesting.
But,
But this whole idea of solar, great idea.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, let's say, wasted energy that could be utilized by the sun that's right there just about every day.
Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah.
But first, Main Street is talking about the fact that Apple is guilty of price fixing.
Apple, like Apple.
No, the apples like you eat. No, yeah, of course, Apple. Apple, the company that makes all that stuff that we can't live without.
Right.
The U.S. Supreme Court has refused to hear Apple's appeal of a lower court ruling that Apple has to pay $400 million, which I'm sure they have in their couch, to certain customers because it conspired with publishers to fix e-book prices. So it's just this very specific area. The case has been going on for quite a long time, actually. It was actually settled in 2014. So what you have to understand is the only question that the Supreme Court decided, which it didn't, this is like being back in law school, which the Supreme Court decided, but they didn't actually even decide because they refused to hear it.
Right.
Was how much. Okay, so Apple they settled, and who's guilty, who's not guilty, doesn't matter.
Right.
The case was settled.
Right.
The question became how much. So the 5 publishers, who I won't name, they settled for $150 million. So $150 million went, I'm not sure where. Apple's $400 million is going to come back to the customers as
credits towards upgrades on
yeah,
their phones.
on their books.
You don't even have to tell me.
Right.
I know what
so,
they're doing.
So they got caught, but basically that money's going to cycle right back in to the couch,
Right.
where it's coming out of. So what they did was they went to these publishers and said, look, if you sell us the books for cheaper, we will kick back to you a certain percentage of the profits, and in that fashion, we will set the market at a certain price, which we probably couldn't get if we didn't do it this way.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and the reason they did it, they were going after Amazon.
Well, it doesn't shock me at all, and we'll see how that all plays out. I wonder if it was still more profitable for them to do it this way with a 400.
It's like the Ford Pinto.
Sure, well, right. I mean, I'm sure that they had calculated what this. They knew what they were going to pay 5 years ago.
There were 10,000 actuaries figured out that if we get nailed, we'll get nailed for this amount, and this is how much it's going to cost us, and we still make more money.
And then we'll offer it in terms of basically
and we'll look
Apple
good.
gift card, and we'll go from there.
So essentially, where does this shake out for Main Street? Hey, you're independent booksellers, you're independent electronic companies, you're independent, and Apple. So we can't live with our iPhones. One of my kids has an iPhone, an actual iPhone.
Right.
We can't live without these things, but Main Street, you gotta band together a little bit and think
fight
about
back a little bit.
Fight back a little bit.
Yeah, look, I mean, when I talk about investments with everybody, I tell everybody the same thing. You be careful where you spend your money, including in your investments, because you might not like the companies that are represented in a particular mutual fund or something like that.
There you go.
So the way to make them react is to hurt them in their pockets.
With your pocketbook, right?
That's exactly it.
So that's the message for Main Street with regard to the Apple circumstance. Apple's going to pay a little bit, they're going to get a little bit back, and that'll be that.
Yeah, and it all goes away at that point, and hopefully everybody moves forward.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the guests, and then we'll have them on. We're gonna bring them out in just a second.
Well, the guests we're having this is a first for Race on Main Street because we're going to have two guests at the same time.
Yep.
So rather than you and I talking over each other, they'll talk over each other. So that'll be a welcome change. Today, our guests are going to be Dr. Eric Stein. Dr. Stein is an associate professor of, and I got to get this right, Management Science and Information Systems at Penn State Great Valley. He has his PhD in managerial science from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. And our other guest is a gentleman by the name of Martin Pepper. Mr. Pepper has degrees in chemical physics and computer science, and he currently manages a team of 25 IT professionals in the utilities industry. Now, that said, both of these gentlemen are with the organization known as Transition Town Media, and the website is
transitiontownmedia.org.
transitiontownmedia.org. They are specifically, though, working with the Solarize Media Project.
All right, we'll be right back with our guests Eric Stein and Martin Pepper in just a minute. All right. Welcome back to Race on Main, where we're here with the folks from Transition Town Media, Dr. Eric Stein and Martin Pepper. Eric,
Pleasure.
Martin, thank you for joining us.
Thank
it's great
you.
to have you here.
Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, but we're glad to have you. So we're talking all about solar. So we tell us about it. Give us this sort of like 50,000 foot view of what you're all doing and who it's affecting and how, please.
Sure. So the Solarize campaign is one of the things that Transition Town Media is doing. So just to sort of level set for people who haven't heard about Transition, it's a global movement that started in like 2005 in Kinsale Island, and it's all about creating local solutions to global problems like climate change, peak oil, peak water, peak everything, and also the economic crises that we're dealing with these days. So it's far bigger than just the one campaign we're doing at the moment, and it's really about local communities coming together to solve global problems. In a very community-centered, focused way. It's very pro-local economy. It's very practical. It's looking for simple solutions, kind of based on permaculture techniques. So you don't try to solve your existing problem. You think of a whole new solution, kind of completely out of the box, and you go right out there and implement it. So that's really kind of a background to what transition is. So our local organization has, multiple pieces to it. We have a food group, a water group, we have what we call a heart and soul in a transition piece. We have an energy group. And we're all doing different things. And we have a local economy group that, for example, set up a thing called the Free Store, which is in Media. You can go down to the end of the high street in Media. There's a free store where literally everything in the store is free. And it's really based on principles of social justice. And it's reusing stuff that would otherwise get thrown out and put in landfills. But people who really need that can go to the store and take what they need.
So I gotta. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we want to talk about solar,
Yes, absolutely,
but you said
of course.
free store. I have to ask you,
Yes.
how does that work?
It's-
I bring my stuff that I don't
Yeah,
use anymore?
we all donate
okay.
stuff that we have, and it goes to the store, and it's
Yep,
people
exactly.
come and pick it up.
It's
And we
that
have a-
simple.
That
and we-
simple.
Yeah, we have a swap page
Out of the
on
box.
Facebook, so for the larger things, you can just put something out, put a curb alert out on Facebook, and the thing's gone in 2 minutes. Somebody shows up and picks it up, keeps it out of landfill. It's a simple solution, and it's exactly the kind of thing that transition is about, looking for simple solutions that solve some pretty deep problems.
So it's not necessarily about creating a profit circumstance.
Oh, no.
It's about solving the problem of junk.
It's solving
Yeah.
the problem of junk, but it's also solving like economic inequality problems too. You don't need to go out and buy this stuff, even particularly if you can't afford it. You just go to the local store and it's right there for you.
How's the store doing?
The irony
It's doing very well.
is
It's doing well.
It's actually making a profit, which is
How?
Well, there's
Yeah, I'm trying to figure.
there's a collection jar,
wow.
and it's totally voluntary if you wish to contribute. But so many people love what they're getting; they make contributions. It more than covers our monthly rent and makes money for the organization.
Wow.
It's
Wonderful.
a simple principle.
And that's on in Media.
It's on State Street, right at the end of State Street, where the tram stops.
Okay.
And we did. It was really co-launched with a local Methodist church, and we have some space there. And then for everything that's like food and clothing related, they have a food bank and a clothing sort of plan. So that goes to them, and then we get rid of like toys and books and old videos and DVDs and things like that. And it's a raging success.
So this is so the concept of transition town,
Mm-hmm.
transition town media.
Right.
It could be transition town somewhere else, but we're talking about transition town media.
Yeah, they're all over the world.
they're all over the
all
world.
over the world, and
Absolutely.
they address a variety of issues. And in this case, we're both on the energy subcommittee,
Sure.
which is focused, which brings us here about solar.
Yeah,
Right.
so,
Right.
so let's talk about that.
Yep.
Because it's obviously a fascinating organization. We could spend months talking about all the different facets, and that is certainly an interesting one.
Right.
So tell us all
Sure.
about the Solarize project. That's
Absolutely.
what we're here to
Yeah,
talk about.
the Solarize project is actually it's part of a broader national effort. Actually, a group of folks in Portland, Oregon, got together a few years back, and they said, "Gee, how can we bring solar to the community?" So they got together and they said, "Hey, let's band together, see if we can get some good prices. We can vet the installers and see what happened." Well, it was so successful that the DOE got interested in it, and then they started to fund it and to document what was done. It's now been turned out as a model all across the United States. So TTM said, "Hey, that's a great model. Why don't we use that model to bring solar to our region?" And so that's how this process got started. So we had a kind of a blueprint, and the DOE has been very supportive. Local governments they've reached out to local governments. It's been part of their Sunshot program, and here we are. We're able to do this. So what we've tried to do is there's several stages to the process. As being a member of the committee, the first thing we had to do was can we find a group of people so that would be able to install? So we wrote an RFP.
Okay,
And-
so we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the process now.
Yeah.
Like how it works.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
go ahead.
So as the group, what we did is we said, okay, we need to write an RFP. We have to, put in not only factors of cost and how much pricing, the quality of the materials, servicing, and all those things. The average homeowner doesn't know, this is complex stuff, electrons floating out there, what does that mean? So and how to pick a vendor. So we're trying to do the hard work of selecting a qualified vendor for the community. So we did that. We wrote the RFP. We sent it out. We got some very highly qualified responses. We then set up objective criteria to evaluate those folks, and then we came up with our our finalists. And so part two of that is then we go out into the community and we try to reach out to the community and say, here's solar. would you like to participate in this? And so there's an outreach component of this, sort of a marketing outreach component. So there've been a number of public meetings that we've gone to that you're aware of.
I
and
attended
other-
one, yeah.
Yeah, that you know. And so we have 13 communities who are involved in our outreach. It's centered in Media, PA, but we have 13 communities in total who are participating in this particular project.
And
But
these are the communities that lie around Media, like
Yes.
Upper Providence
Yes.
and Edgemont.
It's
And
like
Yeah.
a 5-mile radius from
within a 5-mile
okay.
radius.
Okay.
And so we're reaching out to those folks, and we're trying to, educate people on what solar is. I mean, there's a certain process involved. And then the first step is that, they go to the website and they say, yeah, I'm interested, I'd like to sign up. So they go to the solarizemedia.org website, they sign up, and they get a free consultation. So they come out, or they'll check and say, how many trees do you have? Do you have enough sun? Is there shading? First thing you want to do is make sure your roof is intact, right? If you need to fix your roof, you don't want to put solar panels up there. So you fix that. You can, another good thing to do is energy efficiency measures. Plug the holes in your windows and your walls and things like that, and then put solar on that. And then the next step of the process is that the installer will come out and write a contract, and then if it's satisfactory, that person signs up, they schedule them, and then voila, within a few months they'll have solar, and they'll take care of all the permitting and all the processes behind the
That's
scene.
what I wanted to ask about, because it sounds to me like, you said it's complicated, right?
Yeah.
And I have this idea that, I move into a house and someone before me or what have you has wired this house, and all I have to do is, set up the account, and then I flip the switch, the light comes on.
Right.
Now we're talking about there's a wire from these things up on the roof that goes somewhere and plugs
Right.
into something.
Right.
But that's all taken care of.
Yeah, in some respects, it's very simple. Solar panels are simple. Sunlight comes in, electricity comes out. It's really not that complex. And so, it literally gets plugged in. You're in touch with the grid, and you get that energy. So it's about the cost of buying a new car. So you have to kind of think about, what kind of system do I want? How big should the system be? What are the technical aspects of that? But the installer helps the person figure that all out. And we've done the hard part of trying to find, a qualified installer so that they don't have to, look and spend the time doing that.
So all the legwork is essentially
All right.
done.
So I don't have to
the-
worry about the vetting. I don't
Right,
have to
right. The
have
responsibility.
5 guys out.
Right. So the responsibility of figuring out who's going to be at a high quality level, a fair price
Right.
point,
Yep.
make it all work. You've taken all that uncertainty
Right.
off the table, which is probably a huge stopping piece
It's a big
for
blow.
probably
Yeah.
everybody. To jump that, you think, wow, there's a mountain ahead of me in terms of just figuring out what's
Right.
next kind of thing, and what if I've gotten it wrong? What if I've got
the wrong
issues?
guy or-
Right.
And the nice thing is it's about community. There are 30, 40 people who are also interested in that sort of thing, and they're all in the same room with you, and they want to do. People come for a variety of reasons. Some they want to save money. Other people, they just feel good about helping the environment.
I got to
and,
stop
and
you
that's part
about
of
the
it.
save money part,
Yeah.
okay? Because hopefully I'm gonna tee up here, okay?
All right,
You said price of a new car.
right.
Why do I want to make that investment? From a dollars and cents standpoint.
Well, the price of a new car, in a few years you're buying another new car. So, it's a sunk cost, and you're going to lose out. But with solar, it's going to continue generating electricity for 25, 30 or more years. And the typical payback in this area, it depends on your shading, somewhere around 10 years. Because the price of the panels has come down and down and down. Tremendously. In 2008 it was about $6 or $7.
Yeah, $6 or $7
a watt
oh.
for the power, and now it's down at around a little over $3 a watt.
Yeah, we're offering our folks about $3 a watt, which is a really great price.
Right.
We've negotiated a very low price, and it can even get less than that because of the collective buying power.
Right.
Oh, right.
We've set benchmarks so that it'll actually come down. So the payback could even be less than that, which is great. Now you combine that with the federal subsidy. Luckily, they did pass the federal subsidy, so you get 30% off. So if the system costs you $10,000, you get $3,000 back that following year when you file your taxes. So
So
knocks
it's a tax deduction.
it's a big tax deduction.
Right on your
yeah.
1040.
Yeah.
And you just claim
It's a
that
tax
like that.
credit,
So
not a
just-
deduction. It's a credit.
It's a credit.
It's a credit, right off the
right
top.
off that $3,000
Yeah.
right
Boom.
then and there.
Yeah.
So so just to walk me through this like I'm a 2-year-old, it's a $10,000 out of pocket,
Sure.
Right.
and it's going to take me size of the house, sun
Right.
involved. It's going to take me somewhere around 10 years to break even on the energy costs.
Right.
But my out of pocket, while it's $10,000, I'm going to get a $3,000
Right away.
tax
The
credit
next year. Yep.
the next year.
Yep.
You'll get another credit. You'll get what's called an SREC credit because you're actually now considered to be a generator. It's a solable renewable energy credit. And the market price on that in Pennsylvania isn't that high. It's about what, $20 a kilowatt.
Yeah, it's low. Yeah.
So you'll get money out of that. You can sell your SRECs and Eric has solar in his house.
I have solar in my house, so I get, I maybe make $100 a year, but in other states they were as high as $800. So my 5 SRECs, right, would have been worth $4,000 every year several years ago, and in New Jersey they were very high, California they're high, but in Pennsylvania right now they're low. So that's a legislative thing that needs to change.
But let me ask you this: so SRECs, if we're in a situation, are they applicable? Does the solar have to take me off the grid for
No.
me to have?
No, you're still hooked up to the grid. I mean, if
No, I mean in terms of take me off the grid. What I mean is, if my electric bill is $300 a month,
Okay.
can the solar take my bill down to zero?
No, you've still got the utility charges, which is a part of them delivering the service, delivering the electricity and so forth, which is obviously controlled by the PUC in Harrisburg, for the local area with what they can charge. But the energy cost, which is typically about 2/3 of your bill, is what you can do a great deal with.
Okay.
And you can actually generate as much as 110% of what your needs are. I mean, you're not allowed to generate more than that.
Is that the SREC thing where I
No,
sell off that 10%?
that's just you're just that's the mandated level that you're allowed to produce. So if you're normally consuming 100 kilowatt hours, you could produce 110 maximum, and that would be the end of it.
And the way it also works is that there's net metering available. So if you're generating more than you need during the day,
It goes right
it
back.
goes back into the grid.
Oh, I see.
But then at night, when you need it, you take power out of the grid, and it's netted off on your statement.
You get a credit.
Interesting.
So it's like a giant.
They pay
battery,
you
if
at that
like.
point,
The grid
yeah.
is like your giant
So
battery.
so even though you're pulling power off the grid, you're
Right.
essentially not paying for it because you put power onto the grid
Right.
earlier in the day.
That's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
That's
interesting.
exactly it.
So,
Yeah.
you're at work all day, and you're not running too much
But the sun is
energy.
beating down
but the
on top of
sun's
your
house.
beating down on top of your
As
house.
generating electricity for you.
For you to use that night when you
Yeah.
do come home and need
Right.
to turn
Exactly.
on your heater, air conditioner, whatever.
And
Exactly.
by the way, it's saving your roof because you've got solar panels on the roof, so your roof life is extended, and it's also cooling your house down, so you're not running the air conditioning as hard. So because it's insulating.
And that was going to be one of my questions, is that we see solar panels on roofs,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at it and you think, well, what happens in terms of your roof?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it more wear and tear on it? What if you need to fix a hole in the roof or
Well,
a
you
problem
should-
with
you
it?
should
Like,
de- yeah, yeah.
How does that all work? Can you take like a single panel off to fix something, put the panel?
because the panels are
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying like a what if kind of. I'm sure that these are questions people out there have.
Yeah, the first thing is fix your roof, of course. But if you have a problem with your roof, you can take individual. It also depends on how the panels are attached. They can be ballasted down with weights, or they can be attached to the roof structure itself, depending. Mine, for example, they're just held down with cinder blocks
have a
because I
flat roof,
have a
right?
flat roof, which is more of a commercial style. But most people have a slanty roof, and that what's happened. But if there's a problem, yes, you can disassemble components of it. Obviously, turn the power off.
Right.
And then you can make those repairs and then reassemble it.
Are there? Well, I'm not going up on my roof. Are there? I mean, there are contractors, or I guess the company that put the thing on.
Yes, they can
fix it if they
They
have to.
do. Yes.
They also monitor.
They have partners.
They monitor it.
in
Yeah.
real time.
Mhm.
So Eric has a little app. He's a total energy nerd, and he
Yeah.
likes to look at how much he's generating, through the day. And if a panel goes down to like 0 or something and it has a problem, which is extremely rare, I don't think you've ever had that issue, but
No.
then the actual installer is also looking at it, and they can actually send somebody out. to
Because they're
fix it.
monitoring it in
And-
real
And,
time.
and the fact is, these things are virtually maintenance free. I mean, I've had mine for about 3-4 years now, and I don't have to do anything. It's just silent, makes no noise,
Just sits out there.
non-polluting, just sits there and is collecting the sun. I mean, occasionally you see people maybe going up and brushing the snow off of them, but you don't have to. It'll melt, and that's there's nothing to do. You just
Yeah.
Collect the energy. That's it.
How about, does it have to be on my roof? Can it be in my backyard?
Oh,
Yeah,
It can
absolutely.
totally
Be on your
backyard.
garage. You can put them in your
I mean,
backyard.
if
You have a big
if I have a large backyard that I'm not using.
ground-based systems are very common.
Yep.
From you see them on agricultural fields to
Sure.
upstate in the country. People put them just in an open field. No problem.
You can put them on a gazebo or a pergola or something. And make it
Anything.
feature,
Okay.
You can do it pretty much.
All right,
anywhere.
last question, because we
Yeah,
want
you
to
got it.
pump up the website and
Yep.
stuff like that also on
Sure.
the way
Yeah.
out. But my last question is resale value.
Okay.
Oh, great question.
Yeah, so
Go
it
ahead.
adds, there was a survey done of realtors, and I think in like 6 states very recently, including a piece of Pennsylvania. The overall net increase in your property value is around 3%. So it does add to the value of the house.
Nice.
And it's becoming far more recognized as an actual asset, and particularly because I think they're warranted in our particular plan for like 25 years, but typically they last far, far longer than that. So, you can expect it to be something that will resell at a good value.
Excellent.
that's
Gentlemen,
Great.
Yeah,
terrific
thank you.
information. Do everything we can to help you get it out there. Good luck to
Absolutely.
you. And
So if you want to get some more information, you go to transitiontownmedia.org, and there's tons of information there. And even if you don't live within 5 miles of media, it's a great place to maybe start. Maybe it's something you could bring into your own community if it's not something that's already there. So take us
I'm
out.
just going to do this real fast because since we're talking about the sun, I looked up that I wanted to know how much bigger the sun was than the Earth.
300,000 times.
333,000 times
my kid-
heavier
my kids just
than
told me
the
that.
Earth. It's the circumference is about 100 times that of Earth.
Right.
So the sun is the Earth is actually more dense than the sun, which makes sense because the sun is gas. But
Right.
here's the thing that I really think is cool: the biggest star is 265 times heavier than the sun, which is 333,000 times heavier than the Earth. So
Right.
if
It's-
that star were in our solar system, it would go out beyond Jupiter.
It's amazing. So, well, it's thank you both. We appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, and we'll probably have you back because we're going to talk more about this.
it. Absolutely.
So don't forget, you can check us out on raceonmain.com, and don't forget your first responders out there. Something interesting that I just had a conversation with somebody about. Most of the fire departments out there need local volunteers, community volunteers, not to go out and fight fires. They need them to come in and help manage the departments. So if you see those signs that say, hey, look, we're looking for volunteers, it's not just for you to get suited up and run into a burning building. A lot of folks are a little scared by that, and I get that, but there's still certain ways that you can help. You should call all your local fire departments and see how you might be able to be of some assistance. They greatly encourage that community support because they don't want the firefighters independently, exclusively running the fire departments. They want that community support. So, and we just want to give one last little call out to Joe McGibby. He was voted the Policeman of the Year in Haverford Township. We spoke about him last week. He was the one of the guys who responded, first responder to respond to a boy who was drowning in a pool in Havertown or Haverford, somewhere in that township. Jumped in, took him out of the pool, saved his life, and there's a family who's got a little boy at home safe and sound because of Joe McGibby. So we want to give him a nice, fond thanks. And we'll see you out on Main Street. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check us out at raceonmain.com.